The amount of money needed to buy these potatoes continues to climb. Inflation reached a historic high of 38% last September, and although it has dropped back a little, the country's trade deficit continues to rise. Last year it hit $36.9 billion. The International Monetary Fund last week gave Cairo $8 billion, an expansion of a $3 billion deal struck back in December 2022. It agreed to shift to a more flexible exchange rate system after restoring its US reserves with the help of the IMF money.
8 or 10 months ago, I talked about devaluation, and I said that I will stand against this because it is a matter of Egyptian national security. Why? Because in our economic evaluation at the time, we could not do this without having a considerable amount of dollar reserves with which we can organize the market. Numbers would have been huge. We would be talking about 80, 90 Egyptian pounds to the dollar.
The floating of the pound last week caused it to fall by 62% against the US dollar. Authorities say that will help combat inflation and attract foreign investment. But analysts are concerned that a devalued currency may push inflation up further, increasing the cost of living in a country heavily reliant on imports. The central bank also hiked the official interest rate up 600 basis points. It now stands at 27.25%. A higher interest rate makes the cost of borrowing more expensive, hindering private investment and slowing consumer demand. Egypt is also facing a revenue crisis as shippers avoid using the Suez Canal after attacks on ships by Yemen's Houthi rebels.
We are impacted by the decrease of the Suez Canal revenues. The trade movement is also impacted taxes, meaning less revenue.
Egypt has moved to secure more investment by signing a $35 billion deal with Emirati Sovereign Wealth Fund, ADQ. But no one's yet sure whether all these moves will be enough to get the economy back on track. Emre Boz, TRT World.
For more on this, we are now joined by XTB MENA senior market analyst Hani Abouallah in Dubai. Thank you for being with us today. So,
thank you for having me.
As we've heard in the report by our colleague, the Egyptian pound plummeted from just under 31 to the dollar to around 49 against the dollar. What are going to be the consequences of such a sharp and sudden devaluation?
I think the sharp devaluation happens, almost a third of its value have been wept in just over 1 hour. That's one, I think, just to stabilize the market and fight the black market and make also one exchange rate only in Egypt. But I think the problem is that we really might make the inflation pick up again. We have seen the inflation at 29% in January, and on February went back again to 36%. I think this is for sure will make the inflation pick up again.
Interesting, but at least somewhat of a stabilizing force for now. We will see what happens on the currency front, of course. The IMF expanded its loan to $8 billion, right? The World Bank followed with a $3 billion support package, but also a deal was signed with the UAE, providing an investment of $35 billion in the near future. How is Egypt going to use this money? What sectors, what projects will be funded, and what impacts do you think they will have?
There is not much information coming from the Egyptian government about this, how they're going to use the money exactly. But I think it's 2 tranches. They said they will get $5 billion, which they already got it. That's when they will use it to stabilize the currency and also the free floating that happened. Second part will be $6 billion that will be used in the prime projects and something to make the growth happen seriously, because the past projects for almost 10 years it didn't give much growth for the economy.
Interesting. What sort of impacts do you think on the Egyptian economy and revenues have you seen after the war on Gaza and the tensions in the Red Sea? What are the most tangible impacts for now?
I think away from the tourism that has been affected with this one, I think the Suez Canal revenues, we have seen the revenues touch almost 10 billion on 2023. Currently in January itself, it's almost halved from 700 million to 350 million, which is almost 50% gone for this one. If the tension continue, I think they will really face almost, I think by end of the year, they might be 5 billion only, which will not help Egypt at all.